One of my favorite things to make videos about are business trends in the toy industry and how that directly affects us as collectors. Having worked in the industry for over 25 years, I tend to have some insight on this. One of the videos that I actually made way back when I started this channel, it probably is due for a remake because I had a crappy microphone at the time, was on splicening, when two different toy companies have the license for the same, almost identical property or thing. And I've noticed in my frequent trips to the toy aisle that one of my kind of secondary favorite brands, Ninja Turtles, huge part of the end of my childhood, has a lot of SKUs. Like a lot of SKUs. There's Ninja Turtles and multiple aisles in multiple scales from multiple sources from multiple companies. I would say almost more than any other IP, intellectual property, in the toy aisle right now. So one of the questions is, how does this happen? What's the advantage for companies? Is there an advantage for collectors? Is this just on a road to self-destruction? How does this happen that we have so many Ninja Turtles? And I think especially one of the issues is when you have the same SKU that is inadvertently stocked in two places, the main aisle and on that collector wall. Because honestly, stock people, stock boys, stock girls, it's sometimes hard to tell them apart and know where they go. That's actually why packaging is designed. It's usually designed for the stock person, so they know where to put the toy. I'll have a link to that video at the end. It's quite interesting look at toy packaging and what it's really designed for. So how are toys divided up? Well, the first is obviously by scale. Then you can divide up by territory, where toys are distributed. You can divide by material, what it's made out of. And you can divide by distribution, whether it's at mainline, only at comic book stores, etc., only online, not at retail at all. Unfortunately today, well, that tends to blur. So NECA, the NECA Collections, the toy company, they've been doing Ninja Turtles for quite a while. In fact, this was one of the sets I have, their original Eastman and Laird set. I still treasure it. Over the years, they've done lots of different versions and lots of different scales, including live-action Turtles from the original movies from the 90s, Turtles from the video games, using their version of cell shading, which I'll get into in a minute, and then, of course, their line of animated-based figures, which that cell shading approach they take personally doesn't appeal to me. I'm not big on cell shading, whether it's done with highlighting or even just the sort of what would be called the stroke highlight lines that they use. But personally, it's just not my bag. But they have used this line to go super deep in character selection because it's all based on the animated series specifically. So they can do all those obscure characters that never had toys but maybe appeared in the show. Very cool for collectors. And then, of course, there are mashups where they have universal monsters and turtles, although why would you use a symbol for life as a weapon? Using an ankh for nunchucks. Mummies are just rolling in their tombs on that one. All right. Now, of course, then there's SuperSeven, also making 7-inch toys. So NECA figures are 7-inch, so are SuperSeven toys. Same scale, but NECA has retail distribution. SuperSeven does not. So SuperSeven figures can only be sold online, not at retail. They're also based on the original toys, not the animated series. I know, it's kind of a fuzzy line, but they're specific to the toys down to those spree-based accessory trees where you had to sort of pull off the ninja stars ourselves when we were kids. I love that they give us both choices, fully colored and mono, unpainted, still attached to the sprue. So very cool, 7 inches, not available at retail, and based on the original toys. I would say of all the lines, this is the one that actually jumps out at me the most. I just don't have $60 a figure to pop right now. All right, so again, choices. Animated series, original toy, cell shading, no cell shading. Right now, we've still all been in 7-inch scale, which more or less is a traditional scale. And then, of course, finally wrapping up what SuperSeven does, they have the reaction line, which with this one, it's a reinterpretation of Ninja Turtles as if they had been done in what would be, I would call the Star Wars 3 3/4 form factor from the late 70s, early 80s. So reimagining the Turtles in that form factor. All right, so Also still based on the original toys, though, not on the animated series, but just the toys done instead of being 5 inches like Playmates did them. All right, we're not even close to being done. We've still got a lot of Ninja Turtle toys to go through, so speaking of Playmates, the original big dog in the Ninja Turtle licensing game, they were the first ones to believe in the property when everyone else turned them down, including Mattel and Hasbro back in the day. And a lot of us have very fond memories of playing with the Playmates Ninja Turtle figures, despite the lack of deco and articulation. But hey, that's what toys were back then, and we loved them. I loved them. So currently, in 2023, Playmates has yet again, they've brought back the originals, although slightly modified a little bit this time, adding more color. But they've done this a few times where they've reissued the original figures and remaking the original tools. They don't actually have the original tools. They have to be it's like a copy of a copy. Then, of course, they also have the larger scale figures that they're redoing and movie figures that they're doing in 6-inch, which matches their other 6-inch scale, which is kind of like a Marvel Legends. They're calling it the Elite Series. It used to be in 2-packs, but now they've moved them to singles. They're using some of the same tooling, releasing figures in single packaging, but I imagine they'll probably get to other figures in time. So these are 6-inch figures based on the original cartoon, not the toys, but without the animation detail, without the stroke lines that that NECA adds. Whew, okay, Loyal Subjects. We're still going. We're not even done yet. All right, so Loyal Subjects has a line of Ninja Turtles, also based on the animated series, not the toys, but this time at 5-inch scale instead of 6-inch or 7-inch. The interesting thing, though, with these figures is that even at 5 inches, they do kind of work in a 6-inch scale. You can kind of go down half an inch or up half an inch, but once you hit, But the point is, the turtles kind of fudge it because turtles are shorter than a regular superhero. So a 5-inch turtle can kind of work with a 6-inch figure. And that's basically what they're pumping out. I feel like they could use a little bit more deco, but, retail costs are what they are. And it is a retail line. All right, so differentiation. Are these really that different? Well, the scales are different. But when you start putting them next to each other in all these different companies, are we really getting that different of action figures? I mean, yes, some are more animated, some are more toy-like, some have more cell shading, some have less. But at the end of the day, we're getting a lot of shredders. And this leads to the issue of cannibalization in the toy industry. Traditionally, cannibalization is a good thing when it's one company differentiating its product. But now we have 4 different companies. And how do fans differentiate between 4 companies, 3 scales, 3 different sources? Well, they get a choice. And actually, it's kind of a good thing because we can mix and match. We can put one figure that we like from one company next to another. I did this recently with a Loyal Subjects Krang and a Playmates Raphael there. In fact, you can also see some Marvel Legends figures and some other Star Wars and original Playmates figures in that shot, showing how the scale kind of works. So while we don't want Ninja Turtles to wind up overclogging shelves because too much product is made, right now we're kind of on a very precarious slope with so many companies. Are they going to implode? I'm hoping not. I'm hoping the distribution between online and retail will separate them enough. But man, with so many companies making turtle toys that look so similar, yeah, it's a little concerning. I hope this video helped explain why multiple companies get the same license for multiple toys and how they differentiate. If you liked this video, please do share it with others. It's the best way to support this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.